Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about rejection and the power of the word no. Um, I wanted to cover this topic because I see it like saying no to people is very, very difficult to do these days. Um, I mean, with just reason, I get it because it's I don't know, as small of a word as it is, it's only two letters. No carries a heavy energy with it. Like, you tell somebody, like, you hear no, and it sends you to a certain place, of rejection. You tell, like, we don't even like telling people no. Like, we'll imply no, we'll beat around the bush, we'll even say maybe, but you know what I'm saying, we rarely are willing to say no. And it's something that is deeply rooted within us. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to childhood. It goes back to upbringing. It goes back to cyclic conditioning, just everything. So it's like rejection is heavy. Like, being rejected is so heavy, in my opinion, because it's tied to the word no. And the word no is pretty much tied to, not getting what you want. Just everything negative. Everything negative. So it's like, this then kind of segues into, you know, developing into a people pleaser, developing into people developing into someone who gets put into an awkward situation that you don't want to be in, because it's like, man, I just couldn't say no. You feel what I'm saying? I just couldn't say no. And we all go through it. Like, I deal with it myself too. Like, even down to little things. Like, no is just such a harsh word. It's just such a harsh word because people don't say it enough in a positive light. I know this seems like a contradiction. Like, you can't say no positively. You see how fucked up that is? You feel what I'm saying? And because we hold on to that, we often hinder ourselves in growth. We often damage ourselves because we can't remove ourselves from certain situations because of the conceptualization of rejection and the word no. So I'm gonna go into that. I'm gonna peel back the layers a little bit, and kind of just give my thoughts on it. Nothing too major, nothing too crazy. Just what we're always used to, vibing with. Um, yeah. So I think going forward, just as people, like, we got to get used to saying no. We got to get used to saying no. I'm not even going to say used to saying no. We got to get comfortable with saying no and not feeling bad about it. You feel what I'm saying? And we got to be comfortable with hearing no and not taking it the wrong way, as if this person, doesn't care, or this person has negative motives, or this person is just fucked up. Hearing no and saying no are two very important concepts that we have to master. I recently spoke on chakras. You can go back and check that podcast out. And I was talking about the throat chakra, how throat chakra governs communication, the things that we say and the things that we hear. You feel what I'm saying? And no is one of those things that keeps our throat chakra, like, completely hindered. Like, you feel what I'm saying? To feel rejected, as people say, I put a lump in my throat. It gives me a lump in my throat. You feel me? Why do you think that is? That's because that's tied to the throat chakra, tied to communications and everything. And it's also tied to, lies. The inability to say no, it sets the tone and creates the foundation for lies. But I'm going to get into all of that as we discuss it. Just want to give y'all a brief synopsis of what I'm about to go in on. But as always, if you're new to the podcast, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to follow the podcast at the Just Seen Podcast to get all of the weekly drops and releases. If you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle, follow me at the Hitting It Raw program. Be sure to also get the Hitting It Raw ebook, available wherever ebooks are sold. Also, be sure to check out Just Seen's merch if you want to get the merchandise that is exclusively created by myself for the imagery and symbolism of our people. And lastly, of course, as always, be sure to get So Frail, a reality to Black male masculinity, and So Frail to toxic femininity. They're available where all books are sold online. And lastly, I do take support for the podcast. So if you feel the need to do so, all of the links are in the description of your podcast. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break. and we will be right back. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSing.com. There you can get all things Just Sing. You want to add the Soulfrell series to your library? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSing.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSing.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSing.com. You ever want to just chat with Sing about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSing.com. Anything and everything that is me you can find at IamJustSing.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSing.com. All right. Welcome back. And without further ado, we're going to get straight into it. Rejection is hard to deal with, as I said, because it's tied to the word no. So we have to not only just the word no, but the idea of no, like anything that'll lead you to lead to the ultimate aftermath of the word no. Like no, can't, don't, won't, like it all, they like those words, when they hit us a certain way, they make us feel a certain type of way. But with everything has an exception. Like a seed has to be planted in order for the tree to grow, in order for the fruit to be given off of that. And no is such a fucked up word because it keeps us bound. It keeps us bound because we're not willing to accept that, it is a reality that we need to function from. You know what I'm saying? So this kind of develops us into people pleasers. This develops us into people who have to say yes all the time. And the reason why we are in those situations where we become yes men, yes women, people pleasers, because we are it's like our unconscious and subconscious minds have internalized the pain that no carries. So we don't want people to feel that pain. So we will not say no because we don't want them to feel disappointment. We don't want them to feel upset. We don't want them to feel anything negative that we once felt when we heard no or we were rejected or something. So we would rather imply no or, beat around the bush about no or whatnot, as opposed to saying no. But one thing we got to realize that, and I mean this with all due respect, the utmost respect, and any due respect, fuck they feelings. You feel what I'm saying? If it's going to put you in a fucked up situation internally, if it's going to put you in a situation that's going to make you feel a certain type of way, then, you don't need to sugarcoat and beat around the bush and agree to say to something or say yes to something simply because you don't want another person to feel bad. You feel what I mean? And it's easy to, it's easy to say no to people who you feel will not be able to give you anything back. You feel what I'm saying? But like when you feel like there's a reward that can be made from that, or you feel like, it can cost you a friendship or something like that, you're hesitant to say no. You're reluctant to say no. But fuck all of that. Learn to say no and be comfortable saying no from time to time. You feel what I'm saying? And in also that learn to rephrase the things that you're saying when you're trying to say no in a sense that's not coercive and in a sense that doesn't imply that it could still be yes, or try to downplay what it is. I'm not trying to this is something that I had to learn. I still struggle with it too myself, but I began to practice this when I lived in Philly. Walking past homeless people, they would always ask for money. Like when I first got to the city, maybe it's the city that changed me or whatever the case may be. But when I first got to the city or whatnot, it would be like the homeless person would say, "Hey, do you have a couple spare?" I, tap my pockets, do the whole cliche shit we all do. I don't even have it right now, or all I have is my debit card, or I just spent my last, whatever the case may be. Then it got to a point where I was just like, "Yo, fuck it, no." And the situation that occurred was, I never forget. I was getting off the subway. And this homeless lady, she was always there. And she was like, you got any spare change so I can get something to eat? So I was like, nah, I don't have anything on me right now. I said, I'm sorry. Typical shit we always say. I wasn't sorry I didn't have anything on me. I didn't like, but I didn't want that no to come off so harsh. Cause like, no, you feel what I mean? Like, no, it just has that much power with it. So like, it kind of got to a point where it's like, she continually asked me. So then one day it was like, I tried to flip it again. I was like, now I only got my debit card, but we can go to the Burger King and get you something to eat if you want to, if you hungry. No, I need the cash because I was going to do this. And at that point, I was like, all right, cool. So I was like, all right, well, I ain't got it. She was like, all right. So next day she asked me. And this time, I don't know if it was just like I had a hard day at work or whatever the case may be, but that was the first time like I ever said no and just kept walking. And it's like, I felt good about that shit. And I was like, why did I not say that from the beginning? After that, she never asked me for it. You feel me? But it's like, why didn't I say that from the beginning? Because I didn't want that rejection. I didn't want her to feel rejected. It's my motherfucking money. Like if I don't want to spend it, I don't have to. If I don't want to give it to you, I don't have to. And that is one of the things that kind of sets the tone. So I got to contemplating about it, meditating on it. It's like, why did it take me so long just to say no? You know, I kind of got comfortable telling homeless people no. Like if I had it, I would give it to them. But then it's like I got tired of lying. I got tired of trying to sugarcoat exactly what I had to say. Or nah, maybe next time, or I got you next time, or whatever. It's no. Do you have any change? No. And keep going. It's like when that shit got so comfortable and I got used to it and I no longer felt the guilt from it. I no longer felt shamed for telling somebody no. It kind of paved its way to a bit of freedom, to be able to internalize that. Not only to be able to say no comfortably, to be able to hear no and still be cool. You feel what I'm saying? Because like I used to hear people all the time say, Dad, why can't you just say no? If you ain't want to do it, you should have just said no. People get upset with that. You feel what I'm saying? But then when they hear it, it's different because on the other side of that, it's like, I was talking to a friend of mine and he was like, yo, why is it? He was like, why is it so hard to know? He said, say no. I was like, he said, if somebody doesn't want to do something, they should just say no. He said, I was like, can you just say no to somebody? You feel what I'm saying? Everybody wants somebody to just say no until you the motherfucker that just got to say no. It's different. You feel me? It's different. So you got to understand that people are coming from that same perspective. You know what I mean? And me personally, I feel like the inception of the negative, the such negative connotation associated with no comes from when we're children. You feel what I'm saying? It comes from when we're children. You know what I mean? As kids growing up, we hear yes and positive affirmations and positive things of continuation from only within the first year of our lives. You feel what I'm saying? Now I'm still talking about the word no, but I'm speaking on different derivations of the energy of the word no at this point. But when you first learn to walk, everybody's encouraging you, clapping for you. Oh, come to me, come to daddy, come to mommy. Let me see your first steps. When you first learn to talk, you know what I mean? They say this, say that, say this, say that, say that. It's like, okay, that affirmation. Then it comes a shift. And when you get comfortable with that shit, when you actually learn to walk, when you actually learn to talk, it then shifts to sit down and shut up. Those are forms of no. You feel me? They may not tell you to shut up because some people don't like to say shut up because those words are harsh. Each his own, But for the most part, it's like, yo, sit down somewhere. Be quiet. You're too loud. It starts that's the first realm of no that we start to hear and we start to internalize. You dig what I'm saying? And from no, we get the derivations of don't, can't, won't. You feel what I'm saying? These words spoken, once we constantly hear them, we start to feel defeated. All of that is forms of rejection. Can I do this? No. Can I do this? No. What you think about? No, it's no. So when you hear that so much, it begins to internalize. I heard this, I was attending this webinar and the guy was saying, he was listening to a podcast thing or whatnot. He gave a clip and shit. And he was saying, by 4 years old, a child has heard no 16,000 times. I was like, man, ain't no fucking, oh shit. When you think about it, children hear no about 16,000 times in some way, shape, or form. You feel what I'm saying? In some way, shape, or form. So it's like, as a child, you just see that, like, just you could take it back to your childhood when you wanted something really bad, or you like, and you kept hearing no for it. Like, it shuts you down. It shuts you down. You feel what I'm saying? And so, like, when you actually hear yes, it's like so surprising and shit. It's so, but it's like, that's what makes hearing yes so easy. And that's what can make us yes people. You feel what I'm saying? Because we hear no so much, we internalize no so much that we don't want that energy reverberated to somebody else. Because we can feel the rejection, we can feel the disappointment in it, we can feel all of that. You feel what I'm saying? It's even deeper when you get no without an explanation. Our culture is good for it. You feel me? I ain't knocking it. I get now as an adult why parents said it, but at the same time, it's like, that's not a justifiable answer for me. Like, that's not, you can't, like, because I said so, or there's no explanation at all. I don't have to explain myself to you. Parents telling their children they ain't got to explain themselves to them. That's like, I get it. You're a parent, you're an adult, but that's some disrespectful shit. You feel me? That's some real disrespectful shit. And it's almost like we don't even have respect for children these days. That's a conversation that's on. I ain't even gonna get on it. I'm talking about no. But it's like, if a child asks for something, you say no. And a lot of times you're speaking out of frustration. You feel me? You're speaking out of stress. You're speaking out of other factors that really have nothing to do with the child. You just don't feel like explaining it. You feel what I'm saying? But you'll be like, no, because I said so. And then when we hear no, typically, it's always a forceful energy behind it. You feel what I'm saying? It's like I said, if somebody's constantly asking you something and you're always trying to give a sweet answer to a sweet no behind it, you get frustrated and be like, no, motherfucker, damn. You've probably said that before. I know, I've said it before several times, but like, it gets to the point where, you know, it's like the no doesn't work. And so now it has to come with hostility. Now it has to come with that anger. Why? Because nobody's practicing saying no healthily. Nobody's practicing saying no on a consistent basis and on a regular basis that makes it appeasable to hear, you know? And it, like I said, it goes back into the tyranny of it all. And because I said so, I don't need to explain myself to you. There's no explanation. You feel what I'm saying? But if our child were to say that shit to us, see, like, that's the disrespectful shit right there. Like, parents will call a child disrespectful for emulating the exact same behavior that's being given to them. So who's really the disrespectful one in that situation? I let that marinate, but, you know, it is what it is. You feel what I'm saying? So we hear these no's on a regular basis. So it's like we agree to shit just because. Like we learn to internalize, like, nah, man, that shit, man. I remember when I was told no for this. I remember, like, a lot of that shit hits your unconscious mind, which is a conversation that I just had on a podcast, I think last week, 2 weeks ago, some shit like that. But in that expression, it makes it so much easier to say no. It makes it so much easier to, perfect example. If you got a homie that can't rap, tell the motherfucker he can't rap. Simple. Tell them they can't rap, but we can't. We can't do that because we don't, I don't want to kill your dream. I don't want to kill your dream. Sometimes it's not even about killing a dream as much as it's about giving reality. You feel me? If the motherfucker can't rap, the motherfucker can't rap. You feel what I'm saying? But we set this tone. Of I don't want to stifle it. Like, that's why no's are important at times. You feel what I'm saying? It's important to hear no sometimes because you can be continually saying yes to something that is creating a form of insanity for a person and for your damn self, because you cannot say no or you cannot hear no. And when that starts to play its role, you get stuck into a situation that's just not supposed to be there because we get that fear of rejection. We got that hatred of rejection. We do not like to be rejected, you know. But if we were able to healthily process rejection, things would be a lot smoother. You feel me? And that's why I was saying about with the explanation. When you start to say no to your children, give them an explanation so they can process rejection. We never learned how to process rejection because I said so. Damn. Okay. All right. That's it. I don't need, like, you're not going to tell me why I can't do this. You're not going to tell me why no. It's either because I got your best interest in hand. Mother knows best, father knows best. I'm your parent, or whatever the case may be. Some tyrannical shit like that really has no merit. So the child, as children, we shut down. We shut down. The moment we hear no, we automatically, all right, I know the answer is either going to be because I said so, or you don't have to explain yourself to me. You dig what I mean? So that rejection is harder to process. It's very hard to process, to where when we get older, we start looking for relationships. And that's how we end up settling for a lot of shit too. You feel what I'm saying? Because we're only going to fuck with things, or we're only going to strive for things that end up that we know will say yes. You feel me? Anything that is honestly a challenge to you, anything that is going to be you're going to be rejected from it initially or several times over before you actually get that acceptance, before you're approved for it, before you get that acceptance. You got to deal with that rejection. But then if you're unable to healthily process that shit, then it's going to fuck with you. You're going to be, I don't even know what the word. You're going to be punked out of big situations in your life because you're scared to hear no. Or you're scared to deal with no because of what happened to you as a child. Because of what happened to you when you were younger. Because what continually happens to you when you hear no, when you hear don't, when you hear can't, when you hear any kind of form of rejection. You feel what I'm saying? Like I said, it stems back into the childhood. A no should be explained. You feel me? A no should be explained. Now, if you feel that you don't have to explain yourself to a person, to a child, to whoever the case may be, cool. That's what bags your groceries by all means, my man. Paper or plastic. You feel what I mean? But that is a hindrance. Because when you hear no, your mind goes into why not? But you're scared to ask it. You feel me? You're afraid to ask it. And that's gonna keep you from doing certain things. Like when I was working in Philly, I had employees that would ask, they would be afraid to ask for raises. They would be afraid to ask for promotions. They'll be afraid to ask for these things. I'm like, why? They're like, cause the person's gonna say no, and I don't feel like dealing with that. I'm like, but do you know why they're gonna say no? Man, that really don't even matter. It does matter why they're gonna say no, because if you know why the no is there, you can figure out how to make it a yes. You feel me? You can figure out how to turn it into a yes. And that builds onto your, I guess, morale as a person. You feel me? When I went for my first raise, I asked my manager, I said, look, I'm here on time every day. I do my job. I said, I want a raise. He was like, no. I said, why can't I get a raise? He was like, well, there's other things that he was like, well, for one, he was like, it may not be in the budget. I have to run it by the district manager, this, that, and the third. And I was like, cool, you do that. And you let me know what's up. In the meantime, what else I said, so in that case, then what do I have to do to get the raise? You feel me? Because it's in business, it's basically like, yo, it's input and output. You feel me? I'm not going to give you a raise just because you show up on time. What extra work can you do? So then I started to do extra work that'll take the work off of my manager. And I was like, yo, show me how to do this. Show me how to do this. Show me how to do this. So then when I went you couldn't reject it, but I knew why you was rejecting it from the beginning. You feel what I'm saying? So when we look at the rejection, when we look at hearing no, it kind of alleviates it. Like I said, and it gives us time to process. It gives us time to understand it healthily. So now we become adults. We hear no. It's like, it is what it is. It is what it is. This is why, like, the biggest example of this shit is when you've been entitled to certain shit and you hear yes all the time. When you actually hear no, it sends you for a loop because you never actually learn how to process it healthily. And when you never had the explanation for no, this example is perfect when it comes to men trying to get at women. You feel me? I don't know about all men, but there's a collective within a set demographic that if a woman tells a man no, I'm not interested. You feel me? Like, if he was able to hear no at a younger age, he'll be able to process it differently. You feel me? But then he gets older, he's like, oh, so what's wrong with me? Oh, I'm ugly, or this, that, and the third. No, it's no. It doesn't, there needs to be no reason behind it. You feel what I'm saying? But I get it. It's like that sends you to deeper aspects of negative shit. You feel me? That fear of rejection is heavy. So the response to that, the reverberation to a negative response, to hearing a negative response, is to giving one. Like, oh, bitch, that's why you ugly anyway. You know what I mean? It's like, Well, what was the purpose in all of the yo, what's up, ma? I like the way you do this. Like, because she rejected you. Now that now segues into another point. Because we cannot hear no. You feel me? We have not learned to hear no. If a woman literally has to lie to a man and say she got a man in order for her not to be, to be left alone. You feel what I'm saying? Because she's considering, yo, this motherfucker is not gonna be able to process this rejection. You feel what I'm saying? It's little subtle shit like that. You feel me? Down to look at some of the mannerisms that we do to avoid having to speak to certain people. You feel me? Like if we know that a panhandler or somebody is gonna be on a train, they're gonna be on a bus or something like that, we put our headphones in. If I don't want to talk to you, I'm not gonna tell you I don't feel like talking to you right now, but I got my headphones in. And because we can't say no, some motherfuckers will still talk. I was on the train one time, I had my headphones in. I didn't want to be bothered. You feel me? I didn't want to be bothered. My headphones should signify that. Why are you continuing the conversation? But I could not express, well, I don't feel like talking to you right now. I don't feel like talking at all, because that person would take it the wrong way. You feel what I'm saying? So now you got your headphones in, and then you try to give the whole, the look about, yo, you see my headphones is like, you even touch the headphones and you say what? Like your music probably ain't even that loud. You feel me? And you can hear them talking to you, and you'll just touch your earphone like, huh? To signify, hey, bro, I'm not catching what you're saying because I have my headphones on. They're just going to repeat what they're saying. Again, it took a little bit of courage, a little bit of confidence to where I just said it. I was like, I don't feel like being bothered right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Cool. It's cool. Respect. I just put my headphones back in. They go do the little mumbling and shit and all of the shit that they're going to do about all of the shit they would do. But you didn't do it, whatever. But any case may be, we have to get comfortable with saying no. Now, had this person to be, I was like, I don't feel like being bothered right now. Okay. And he would have that would have been, it wouldn't have hit him. It wouldn't have hit him the way he felt like he's entitled to my time. He's entitled to a conversation with me. He's entitled to that because we hear yes, or we hear a fabricated version of no that still feels as good as the yes. You feel what I'm saying? And that sets the tone for a lot of the way we process rejection, because we don't process it. We can't process rejection. We can't process it, and it defeats us. It defeats us so much. If you're applying for a job and you get that, we regret to inform you, that shit is like, yo, fuck, it kind of sent you into a state of depression. You don't even know why it sent you into a state of depression, because it's rejection. But it's rejection because we've never been able to process rejection healthily. You feel what I'm saying? But that's why, if you pay attention to those same letters, they tell you why they couldn't hire you. Or they tell you that we went with a different applicant, or we went, they tell you that a lot of times they tell you. And you can even go a step further. And this is really when you actually become comfortable with dealing with rejection and being able to process it, where you can actually call the job and say, well, what was it that separated me from the applicant who was hired, and why didn't I get it? Because now it's okay, yeah, let me add that shit to my arsenal. You feel me? It's not that I just didn't get the job. You feel what I'm saying? It's very well other factors that played into it. You dig what I'm saying? It's necessary steps that once you get rejected, you figure out why. But then now we got to add into the other things that help soften the blow of rejection, that keep us in a state of entitlement. Like, oh, I'm going to get it anyway. Or this is eventually going to be a yes based off of this. You feel what I'm saying? And when I used to play sports, I didn't play sports, but when I was doing field day at the end of the school years and shit and all of that, it'd be like, you have first place, second place, third place. That's supposed to be it. Everybody else don't place. Fourth and off, that's you don't get a placement. The fuck? You didn't win. You didn't even come close to winning. You didn't almost win. The first person wins, the second person almost wins, and the third person comes close. After that, that's it. You feel me? But then they start doing shit like honorable mentions. You feel me? You did not win. You feel me? You were rejected from the win. You were rejected from the winner circle, but here's an honorable mention. Oh, I really wasn't rejected. So now I know that next year I could do this again. If I don't have to strive for first place. I just got to participate, and they're going to give me something. You feel what I'm saying? So it shifts the way in which we handle rejection. So now we get older and we enter the real world. We enter the real fucking world. And we hear no. We realize that there is no fourth place. Sometimes it ain't even a third. It's like either you got it or you don't. But how do I bounce back from that? You feel what I'm saying? Not making the basketball team, not making the cheerleading team, the cheerleading squad. What are you going to do for it the next year? Oh no, I'm just going to complain. I need to know find out why you were rejected and overcome that. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to process healthily. So like I was saying, it's like when that happens, when the inability to process rejection happens, we internalize all of that shit. And now we have to express it. So now the tables turn. And when we're on that side of a person who's saying, it was like, I'll think about it. Maybe. Like we can't really say no because it's like, well, how is this person going to respond to me? How is this person? And it's like, I'm not going to have an explanation for him. You feel me? Not one that I feel will suffice. No is an explanation. You feel me? No is the explanation. You don't, and I know it's going to be contradicted that I say, explain it to a child, but then it's like, an adult should not have to be explained that to. You feel me? Children are different. They're learning. They're growing. You feel what I'm saying? They're thriving. They need to understand why this doesn't work this way. You feel what I'm saying? As an adult, you don't need that, but it's like, it's different. We will give a whole dialogue and a whole dissertation as to why we won't do something or can't do something to somebody. And we figure out the best possible way to say it. But when it comes to a little kid, when it comes to a child, it's because I said so. I'm grown. I'm the adult. You feel me? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter why I said no. I said no. Okay. So now your child gets older, doesn't know how to process rejection. Doesn't know how to hear no. You feel what I'm saying? Hell, you probably like that because you don't know how to hear no. Now, when you ask your child to do something and they say no, they're disrespectful. That's how you know the power of the word no. And that's how you know the internalization of no. A child cannot tell an adult no. A child cannot tell their parent no. You feel what I'm saying? And if a parent says, hey, I need you to do this, the child can't say, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, no, you got to do it because I'm your parent. I told you to do something. Okay, but I don't want to. You feel me? Like I ain't gonna say I kind of like coerce people into changing how they speak to me on certain things, but when people ask me certain shit, like they ask it in a way in which you can't say no. That's how you know people don't want to hear no. They'll ask you a question in a way that you can't say no. I say no anyway. I was working fast food one time, and the manager at the time, he said, don't you want to do this for me? Nope. And he looked like, damn, okay, well, whatever then. I get somebody else to do it. I said, now you got to be specific. I told him, I was like, yo, you got to be specific in the way you ask this question. I said, you asked me, did I want to do it? Not, can I do this for you? Or will I do this for you? You asked me, did I want to? So no, I don't want to do it. Ask the right question and you get the right answer. You feel what I'm saying? And again, that comes from the upbringing. Our parents do that to us. Like, don't you want to do your mama a favor? Don't you want to do your grandmama a favor? Don't you want to do your granddaddy a favor? No, I don't want to do you a favor. But I will do the favor if you ask me, can you do me a favor? Or can you do this for me? You feel what I'm saying? This is something I had to catch on. I was talking to my niece one day, and it's knee jerk. It's, you know what I'm saying? So commonplace. I was like, I said, don't you want to do Uncle Ray a favor? Catch it. I said, can you do Uncle Ray a favor? And she said, yeah, I can. You feel what I'm saying? I didn't want to get into the habit of continuing that. You feel me? Because it's like I'm manipulating her into saying yes. So I don't have to hear no. You know? But then it's like when you say that, it's like okay, whatever, I do it myself. And then another thing with that is like people often want you to do shit on their time. It's like, yeah, I do it. And then it was like, all right, whatever, I'll just go ahead and do it myself. Okay, cool. Knock it out. Knock it out the park. You know? I've had people, call me rude and disrespectful because they would ask me to do something. And I say, yeah, I got you. But I wouldn't move right then to go do it. I'm like, all right, well, your priority is an option to me right now. Like, calm the fuck down. Like, you feel what I'm saying? You need to understand that. If it's really that important to you, you should go ahead and do it. You feel me? But if you want me to do it, don't rush me. Don't try to make me do it on your time, because I'm going to do it on mine, especially if you already see me doing something. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand, all right? You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket, so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback, so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield, so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand, so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push, so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QUARANTEEN. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, that is another quintessential piece that, that happens growing up, that happens in the households growing up, Our parents, our loved ones, they never ask us things that they know they might hear no to. They'll imply it in a way that you're gonna say, yeah. Don't you want to do, like, who doesn't want to do their parent a favor? Like, it's the word choice. It's not, can you do this? No. Oh, you just said no to me. Yeah, I did say no. Like, children are let's take a second to bask in this. Children are permitted as human beings, as little vessels of life. They are allowed to say no without being penalized, without being in trouble. When we operate from that perspective, when a child sort of like, we gotta understand that disagreement is not disrespect. You feel what I'm saying? Just because I disagree with you, just because I said no to whatever it is that you asked me, does not mean I'm being disrespectful. You feel what I'm saying? That now puts us into a position to where once we leave our households, once we leave our common places and our niches, when we go out into the world, we internalize hearing no as disrespect. You feel me? I forgot. I think it's the podcast on Soul Frail Conversations. Respect. Respect is to men what love is to women. These points are very, very important, because it's like, when you internalize what respect is, and me simply saying no is disrespectful to you, I don't want to be considered a disrespectful person. I don't want to come off disrespectfully. So I'm going to say, yeah, even though this shit bothers me. This is why this shit's funny as shit, bro. Like, I be seeing this shit posted all the time. When people be like, when the plans that you agreed to get canceled. Like, you be happy as fuck when the plans you agreed to get canceled because you didn't want to go anyway. But why didn't you just say no? Why didn't you just say no? Oh, I didn't want to let that person down. I didn't want that person to feel the type of way. So you put yourself in a compromising position for the comfort of somebody else, because you couldn't say no. You feel what I'm saying? And this is why now, when we get to the core of it, this is how lies are so impactful. This is why it's so fucking easy to lie. Because the truth is typically connected with rejection. As they say, the truth hurts. I say this phrase all the time. I said the truth hurts because there is humor and fun in lies. When we make lies feel good. We make lies assuage somebody's consciousness, and it just feels so good. But the truth, that shit hurts like a motherfucker. You feel me? That shit hurts like a motherfucker. Like, you feel what I'm saying? If you continuously come to a situation where you're 100%, they call it brutally honest. I don't think honesty should be brutal. You feel me? Just look at the connotation in which we put with lies and truths. You feel what I'm saying? We have cold truths, harsh truths, tough love, brutally honest. You feel me? But look at lies. Sweet lies, soothing lies. Like, why the fuck do lies get such good connections to them, and then the truths get such bad connections to them when it should be flip-flop? You feel me? It should be flip-flop. But that's a harsh lie. because it fucked up my mentality. You feel me? We got bitter truths and we got sweet lies. And the reason why we have that is because of the word no and because of rejection. You feel what I'm saying? Women to give a man a whole fake number in the club because she doesn't want to reject him. You feel what I'm saying? Dudes to cheat on a woman because he doesn't want to break up with her. It's like, yo, I'm really not feeling this anymore. So what I'll do is I'll cheat, or I'll just stop performing as your boyfriend to make you break up with me. That's the easiest. I think I was like 20. I was younger than that. I was in my teens when I did this shit. It was like, I didn't want to deal with the woman anymore. I didn't want to deal with her anymore. But I didn't want to tell her because I was like, yo, it's going to hurt her. It's going to hurt her. So I just detached. And started doing shit well, I feel like we're just not connecting anymore. I think we do need to go our separate ways, but I'm going to be remorseful in it because you got to make this decision. But it's done. So yo, how you move on so fast? Because I was done already. I was already out of the situation. I was ready to go, but I didn't want her to feel rejected. I couldn't say no. I couldn't say, okay, I can't continue this relationship anymore. I can't continue whatever it is that we had. Let it go. I couldn't do that shit. You feel what I'm saying? And because that comes from, not internalizing not being able to deal with rejection. And then at the same time reflecting that, yo, I don't want you to feel this. I don't want to tell you that I'm done with you. I don't want to tell you that I don't want to be with you anymore. Because there's no good way to say that. It's not that there's no good way to say that. There's no healthy way for somebody to process that. You dig what I'm saying? People don't process, oh shit. Because now it's like, if I'm with a woman, I tell her, look, we can't be together anymore. What's wrong with me? Who is she? What is this? Like that. Women people as a whole go into like a shock mode of where it's like, something's wrong with me. No, nothing's wrong with you at all. You feel me? You're still, and it's like, that fucks with that like, when I have to end a situation with a woman, I tell her the truth. It's like, you're lying. Something's wrong. No, it's really nothing wrong. Like, we just can't grow together anymore. That's it. We're done. Like that. And it's okay to be done. It's okay for the season to end. It's okay for winter to come. You feel me? But what's not okay is for me to act like I'm in it still. For me to act like I still can benefit from this when I can't. That's an illusion. That doesn't work. That's a lie. You feel me? But it feels good when every day I show up with the fake smile. Every day I continue to do the shit that makes you feel good. When I know deep down, I don't really give a fuck about this shit right now. You feel me? So then when it gets to that point where my whole mannerism starts to change, then an argument blows up. And then then the truth comes out, and it's worth. That's why it be pissing me off when motherfuckers be like, yo, I didn't mean to say that. Nah, you meant to tell the truth, motherfucker. But you reached the point where you didn't give a fuck about the rejection anymore. You didn't give a fuck about how the person was going to internalize that rejection anymore. You feel what I'm saying? That's what it is. You feel me? Everybody means to tell the truth. Everybody wants to tell the truth, but it's easier to lie because you don't have to tie rejection to it. You feel what I'm saying? Anybody that's rejected, they automatically connect that rejection to the being the rejected. And it's like, I don't want you to have a negative connotation on me because I told you no. I don't want you to have a negative connotation on me because I rejected you. I can still be a good person. And so it's like, I've dealt with this woman and she called me a fuck boy. I got like this was a crazy ass situation, bro. Like, I got called a fuck boy. She started making fake Instagram pages, sending threats to me and all of this kind of other crazy shit. I was like, yo, whoa, lady. And the reason why is because I told her we weren't in the same place. I told her we couldn't be together anymore. You feel me? Everybody talks that bullshit about it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that's why it's how you say it, because motherfuckers don't know how to take anything in. Unbiased, without anything. So I didn't do no dumb shit or do nothing evil and say, yo, you're worthless. You can't keep. I was like, look, we are in two different spaces in our lives. You feel what I'm saying? I was like, we're in two different spaces in our lives right now. And it wouldn't be fair for us to continue because I would have to slow down or I would have to force you to speed up, and it's not fair to you. I can respect that. I can do this. But then it's like, oh yeah, you a fuck boy. You this, you that. And I'm like, how? how? Tell me how. Tell me how how can I be that when I told you the truth? You feel me? I made it clear to you that, okay, we just can't grow anymore. I know this. You feel me? And I'm not going to put that pressure on you to continue to move at a pace that you can't move, that you're obviously showing me that you can't move. You feel what I'm saying? But again, rejection is a motherfucker. Sent her on a whole different tangent. I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Damn, I would have been better off. Like, I would have been better off having you find out about another woman if this is the case. Because you gave me the same energy. You feel me? She gave me the exact same energy because that rejection is powerful. Rejection is powerful when you've never been able to process it healthily. And then on top of that, she had never been rejected before. You feel what I'm saying? This happens quite frequently when women have dealt with a certain caliber of men, and that type of man is always coming back to him saying, oh, well, I've never been able to find another woman like you. I've never been able, like, shit like that boosts your ego. So then when you meet a motherfucker who doesn't come back and tell you, okay, I won't be back. I know that this is like, whoa, what? No. You feel what I'm saying? Because that rejection is powerful. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, because we can't hear the words no. We can't hear the word no. Like, you feel me? Dudes too. We get psychotic with the shit when a woman turn us down. Fuck you, bitch. I was just gonna make you look good anyway. You fat anyway, and you ugly. You ain't even all that. Damn. How did you go from 0 to 100 real quick? You feel what I'm saying? All because she didn't, it shocks the fuck out of women when they tell you that they're not interested and you say, okay, cool. And you just walk away. That's like, oh shit. Like it's a funny scenario, but I guess it kind of played in the reverse psychology a little bit, but it really didn't. But the situation was like this. I approached this woman and I was trying to, interact with her, connect with her, get her number and everything. She told me she wasn't interested. I said, okay, cool. I said, you know what? I appreciate the time. Walked away from her. Like, she came to me right after that and gave me her number. Like, literally, like, she was like, wow, I did not expect that response. For that, I was like, I don't want it now. I said, you literally just told me you weren't interested. So I can't, like, in my mind, I've already processed that you're not interested. So I'm not going to play that role. So now that's it. She was like, wow, you're really not going to take my number now. You really didn't want to give it to me. Like, what the fuck? Like, so it's like, let's go from there. So now it's like the rejection changed hands. It was like, wait, you just told me that. And yes, I did tell you I was interested. And you told me you weren't. So to give me your number now, because I didn't respond to you in a negative way, that's a shock treatment. You're not really serious about that. You're still not interested. You're just surprised. That's all. You're just surprised. You feel me? So now you got to deal with this rejection, process that healthily, and we'll continue on. Afterwards, I will see her. We still speak, say what's up, whatever. But it's like I never try to engage that because it's like I still got to keep that in mind. You weren't interested. You're not interested. I can't make you be interested. You feel what I'm saying? Like, bygones are bygones. Bye-bye. Be gone. You feel me? But when we're dealing with that shit, when we're really dealing with that, all that comes back from the root. It comes back from the root. You feel what I'm saying? And being able to deal with no keeps us from lying all the fucking time. Lying all like men, like women be like, yo, why do men lie so much? Because we don't know how to deal with rejection. We don't know how to deal with rejection. So we practice speech that will give us a yes. You feel me? You let a motherfucker give you the cold hard truth, it's gonna fuck you up. You feel me? Y'all seen Baby Boy? When the vet was like, yo, you foul, Jody. Why you be doing this? He said, I don't like them bitches. I just fuck them from time to time. I don't know why, I just do. Damn. Cold truth. Harsh truth. But it was the reality. You feel what I'm saying? But at the same time, when we're courting, when we're trying to get the number, whatever the case, yeah, we're gonna lie. And a lot of times it's not even like lying. Like, sometimes it's fabricating the truth. Sometimes it's withholding information, different forms of lies. You feel what I'm saying? Because you don't want what's going to transpire once you tell what the truth really is. And that comes from, having that person feel rejection, even you having to feel rejected from the shit. You feel what I'm saying? So we will consciously Well, I ain't gonna say consciously. We unconsciously put ourselves in fucked up situations because we don't know how to deal with the rejection of it all. We don't know how to say, okay, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So I'm going to sabotage it and fuck it up so it no longer has to deal with me. It's a powerful shit. It's a powerful shit when you get to the nitty gritty of it. And it all derives from 2 fucking letters, N-O. Damn. That shit's crazy, yo. Because from no, we have to learn how to deal with rejection. So the point of all of that is to say, like, we have to, certain cycles can't be broken in certain ages of life. Like, you feel me? But at the same time, we can be identify them, and we can start to change. Like, honestly and truly, I don't want to create children that have thought or have internalized certain shit that I internalized when I was a kid. You feel what I mean? Like, I already envision, like, when I have kids, like, if they ask me a question and I have to say no to them, I'm going to tell them why it's no. I'm going to give them that. So it's like, oh, I understand why it's no. That makes sense to me. Because I said so still leaves me in bewilderment. It still leaves me confused. Like, what the fuck is wrong with me where I can't get this? Why can't I have this? What is the no about? You feel what I'm saying? What is the no? You know, and then it's like, even giving vague descriptions still doesn't make sense. You feel me? So it's like, it's little things like that. And that keeps people from lying. You feel me? If I know that I can tell you this, if I know that I'll tell you the truth and it's going to get me rejected, I'm going to lie because that's going to give me the approval. You feel me? Or I'm going to alter the truth. I'm going to alter the reality a little bit. And that's manipulation. That's fucked up. You see the power of no. No can segue us into a whole bunch of off the wall shit that really ain't right. You dig what I'm saying? It ain't right at all. But when we truly connect and we start to master that shit and thoroughly understand it, you know, we can be more healthy in internalizing rejection. You feel what I'm saying? It's like it's so many times like people would come off in a fucked up situation and come off negatively towards somebody solely because it's like, yo, that was easier. Case in point, like, and not, you know, this is for my sisters right now. Middle school, you know, all year, the boys will pick on the girl. She's ugly. She's that. She this. And then when you get her yearbook, you're like, I always had a crush on you. The fuck? Like, what was the purpose in all of that shit? You feel what I'm saying? What was the purpose in all of that shit? So it's like, that is like, well, I just didn't know how to say anything. I didn't know how to come at you and say that because I didn't know how to process. So I'm going to fuck with your self-esteem. I'm going to damage you. Because if I would have approached you and you would have turned me down, then what, like, I didn't know. I didn't know what to do. Well, see, like that's being able to process, you know, rejection healthily. Like, if I have sons, I need them to be able to, okay, if you go mac into a girl, if you go honey hunting, whatever it is that you do, you feel me? If she say no, all right, that's it. Wipe your hands. Like, you don't need to be cussing her out. You don't need to be trying to fight her. You don't need to be throwing pennies at her and shit. I had a cousin who would throw a penny at a chick if she turned him down. Like, bruh, like, you can't, you feel me? You can't do that. That's not right. But it's like, that's how our response is to rejection. And a lot of the ways that we respond to rejection, and the reason why they're so heavy, they're so hectic, is because it's the ways in which we wish we could respond to our parents and our elders, but we can't. Because we'll view it as disrespectful. They'll view it as disrespectful. You feel what I'm saying? It's deep and it's very, very subtle, but it's powerful. A lot of the shit that we do to people in the world are the things that we wish we could do to our parents. Are things we wish we could do to our grandparents, our older siblings, but we can't. You feel me? We can't and we won't. You dig what I'm saying? So we do it to people in the world. So bullying ain't always physical. It ain't always like punching a motherfucker in the head because somebody punched you in the head and you couldn't punch them back. You feel me? Bullying can have this, carry the same energy in the same way as, you know, hearing no all the fucking time and not being able to process that rejection. And at the same time, expressing and doing that to somebody else. Because I said so. Because it is like, I've heard I had to teach my two of my nephews, I had to teach them a lesson. They're brothers or whatnot, right? The younger nephew was asking the older nephew, yo, can you come out and play with me? Older nephew said, no, I don't want to play with you. I'm cool, cool. Well, it wasn't cool, but like the rejection, I could see that shit in his face. I was like, damn, that's fucked up. So I was like, all right, man, let's go outside and play. Right? So we went outside and play. The older nephew comes outside. I want to play. Nope, go back in the house. Why I gotta go in the house? Because he just asked you to come out and play and you didn't want to play with him. You're not going to come out and play because I'm out here now. Go back in the house. Simple. I'm like, yo, y'all are brothers. Like, y'all shouldn't be treating each other like that. So it's like me and the younger nephew, we playing, we having a good time and everything. But it's like, it wasn't a ha, here you go. It's like, yo, this is what rejection feels like. And this is what you just made your little brother feel. You feel what I mean? So now it's like when we're looking at it on that grander scale, like what happens? What happens? See, like I said, it starts at the hub. It starts at the hub. You feel me? So now we get to where we have to manipulate people into saying yes. You feel me? We deal with no so much. Like we hear no so much. Now we focus on trying to manipulate people into saying yeah, just to get a good feeling, just to get some kind of approval. You feel what I mean? Some kind of acceptance. You feel me? Because we don't know how to process rejection. We've never learned how to process rejection healthily. That's why when you go to school, you have the cool kids tables. You get, oh, you can't sit with us. Bitch, I don't want to sit with y'all. You feel me? When you're able to process rejection healthily, you can say that shit. Bitch, I don't want to sit with y'all. Y'all ain't cool anyway. The fuck? It changes the narrative. It changes the perspective. But then when people are constantly rejected, then they form a clique of rejected motherfuckers who create a certain level of acceptance for themselves. They keep everybody else out and they keep rejecting people, not realizing that they're just doing what's been done to them. You feel what I'm saying? And that's all because we hear no so much with no explanation. We hear no so much and never learn how to process rejection. Not many people can process that shit and be okay with it. Now, being able to process and not just saying, oh, well, fuck it. It is what it is. That's not the same because that shit still internalizes you. That still internalizes within you. You know, we have to actively be conscious enough to be able to process rejection healthily. You dig what I'm saying? And it all derives from, not hearing no or hearing no within reason and knowing why. Because sometimes we hear no for some bullshit, especially as children. We hear no for some of the dumbest shit. You feel what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, why can't I do this? No. Now, you feel me? I used to have a homie that I used to always want to spend the night at his house. My mama would always say no. I'd be like, why? Because I said so. Because I said so, whatever. You feel what I'm saying? And I didn't know that my brother had told my mama that the parents of the person I was trying to spend the night with were fiends. They were fiends. They were crackheads. I didn't know they were crackheads. They were very functional. Functional like a motherfucker. But it's one of those things where sometimes it happens because the parent is you're trying to protect the child. You feel me? But our children ain't slow. They're able to pick up on shit. They're able to comprehend and understand. You feel me? If I would have been told, hey, yo, you can't spend the night over there because they're crackheads. Like, I don't know what the fuck could happen over there. Cool. I probably would have been cool with that. Oh, they crackheads for real? Like, what's crack? Like, you know what I'm saying? It was like, oh, shit. But it's like, just hearing no, it's like, damn. So then it's like, when it all played out, I was like, yo, I got you. That's not a place to be spending the night at. Like, you feel what I mean? You know what I mean? But it's like, being able to process that rejection healthily comes from the explanation. Because at this point, now I'm developing animosity. You just don't never want to let me have no fun. I can't never do that. And then the parents, y'all will say shit like, this is for whoever. Like, you could be a parent, you could be somebody, like, you understand this. It's like, yo, I've been where you've been before. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. That's one thing we really, really, as a culture, we need to stop saying that shit to our kids. I've done what you've done before. I've been where you've been before. No, you didn't. You did not experience it from my life. You feel me? You did not experience it from my life. Whatever it was, it shook the fuck out of you to where, it's like, I don't want you to go through that. Like, tell me your experience. You feel me? Don't wait until I'm in my 30s. Don't wait until I'm in my late 20s. Don't wait until I'm old enough to start telling me the stories that you experienced as a child around my age. Oh, now I've been there before. Well, what did you do? You feel me? I shouldn't have to hear about Like you can in one breath, like tell your child, you feel me, don't be out here fighting or whatever the case may be. And at their age, you did the same thing, but then you're not giving them that. You got them thinking you a saint, holier than thou type shit. Everything you do is good and golden. And when they start to hear about it, like, yo, you whooped me for that. You feel me? You put me on punishment for that. Because I got put on punishment for it. As opposed to teaching me the lesson. You feel me? Hey, yo, I need you to have a seat. I need you to sit down. I need you to understand what the hell this is about. Like, nah, that form of rejection and shit is heavy. Like hearing no from that. Hearing no from something you found out that you're like, as a child, hearing no from something that you find out years later that your parent did or your aunties did or somebody like, and they laugh about it like it's funny. It's like, yo, you punished me for that shit. And you went through it. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? Oh, well, I'm the parent. I know best. Okay, well, if you know best, teach me. Because I said so is not teaching me. You feel what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. But until we get to that point where it has to be a mutual thing. And it goes, like I said, it goes back to the throat chakra with communication. You got to be able to say no, but you got to be able to healthily give that form of rejection in a manner in which it can be processed without destruction happening. You know? That's really what it boils down to. You know what I mean? So when it comes to us as current adults, we got to practice. It's a lot of reconditioning we got to do to get used to rejection and shit. But practice would start saying no to motherfuckers. No. And that's it. No. And that's it. Children, like I said, they're different. Explain that shit to them. A grown ass adult, no. You get mad, you want to fight, whatever, put your hands up. But no, I'm not doing that. No, I don't want to do that. Hey, yo, you want to come out with us? No, I don't. Why not? It's because I don't feel like going. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be doing this. This is what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Don't have that. Yeah, I might go. I'll let y'all know what's up, blah, 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 blah. And then, hey, y'all, I'm not going to make it. Don't do that shit. Don't do that shit. Just say, nah, I don't want to go. You feel me? I don't want to go. Don't make up an excuse of, yo, who all going to be there? Because you don't really want to go. So you try to say, oh, this person going to be there. I don't fuck with them. That's my way out. Nah, don't give yourself, let's say no. Say fucking no. No is it's a beautiful ass word. When you get the power of it and you get used to saying no, you can help yourself get out of fucked up situations and learn how to better process rejection and learn how to help others process rejection. Homeless people, they process rejection good as fuck. That's how I learned the shit. When I told them no, that was it. It's all right. What? That's all I had to say? Yeah. They know. They're like, we ain't gonna get no money afterwards. Like, I had one homeless. I'm gonna wrap up with this one. I used to talk to this homeless guy. Like, he used to always be posted up by the mailbox and shit whenever I would be walking to class when I was in Philly. And every day. Now, he was a hustler, though. That motherfucker was a straight hustler, bro. He put out a stat one time. I was like, yo, how'd you? He said, yo, he said, it's all in the day's work. So I was like, all right, I got you, bro. But I had an actual conversation with him. You feel what I'm saying? And he was like, you just got to stay consistent with what you're doing. He said, you're going to hear no more than you hear yeah, but it's the yeah that matters. He said, you going to stop because he said, I ain't going to stop. He said, and that's when he pulled a knot out on me. He said, I ain't going to stop because somebody said no. He said, because there are people that are going to say yeah. It's just how you get them to say yeah. You feel what I'm saying? And he's seen the key to it from the other side. If I know that people internalize rejection like this, and I know that people don't want to influence like that, I'm going to manipulate them into saying yeah. I'm going to, and I was like, oh shit, that's the power of the shit. That's the power of no. You feel me? When you master the power of no, you can manipulate a yes. That's some powerful shit. You feel what I'm saying? But it comes from understanding that when we hear no, when we internalize no, that it's from a form of rejection. And the moment we're able to healthily process rejection, we're able to liberate ourselves on some other shit, yo. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about. With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at JustScenesMerch and get your merchandise right now. All right. That's that. Yeah, that was pretty much no and rejection. The power of the fucking word no. And what it actually does to us collectively. I kind of just wanted to talk about this because I wanted to switch gears because I had been talking about like some real deep shit. I wanted to be like light, a little bit light and humor and shit. So we wanted to, I want to keep y'all entertained and shit. You feel me? But yeah, hearing no is like, you can't let a no stop you. You feel me? You can't internalize rejection. You got to learn how to process rejection healthily. If nobody's going to tell you why they say no, figure out the why. You feel me? Don't internalize the why. Don't internalize the negative why. Don't internalize something that's going to put you into a state of depression. That's going to put you in a state of feeling inferior or any kind of fucked up situation that's going to have your mentality on a different plane. You feel what I'm saying? Learn how to take in what is being presented to you and say, okay, this is what it is. You feel me? This is what it is. Don't be subjective about it. Be objective with it and say, all right, cool. You said no. That's that. Learn. It's a practice. It's going to be a practice. You feel what I'm saying? It's going to be a practice because you're having to rewrite years of conditioning, years of rejection, years of hearing no, years of internalizing that shit and learn how to process it. You feel me? For my brothers, if a woman turns you down, just leave it at that, bro. Like, there's literally plenty of fish in the sea. You got to be careful too, because you could be allergic to that fish. You don't even know it. Just saying, metaphors. You feel me? But learn that aspect of, closing doors and doors being closed and other shit like that. That's another point. Like, speaking of closing doors and shit, that's a lot of time why people want closure because they can't process rejection. People want closure because they can't process rejection. Just tell me why. Tell me what it was about me. Tell me this, tell me that. Nah, it's over. It's done. That's it. That's the closure. The end of the relationship is the closure. Close the motherfucking door. But we need to know why it was closed. Like I said, this goes back into, you see what I'm saying? It goes back into the rejection. Why was I rejected? Why did you not want me? Why could I when you now have other factors of abandonment issues and different things like that, those are all forms of rejection. Those are all forms of hearing no. You feel what I'm saying? But that has to all be processed healthily. It's crazy. Like when retrogrades happen, whatever retrograde happens, Mercury is the biggest one, punk ass. But when retrogrades be occurring and shit, motherfuckers be like, yo, my exes are gonna come back. People want their exes to come back so they can understand why they feel rejected. So they can understand and try to alleviate that rejection that they feel. And then it's like you talk to them that one last time and you still don't feel that. I said it all. I'm going to say all that I want to say. I said all that I can. And then after you said all of that shit, what do you still feel? The same way you felt before you opened that fucking door again. Because it ain't got shit to do with them. It has everything to do with how you process rejection. You feel what I'm saying? Retrogrades hit me. I be wanting to share the story. Yeah, my ex came back. She did this, she that. Nah, I end that shit from the jump. The door is closed. Like, we're done. And our relationship is complete. You feel what I'm saying? I think that might be a future podcast episode. The difference between relationships being done and completed. But yeah. When those more like that's the end. You feel me? That's the end. I find out what I deal with the rejection at the breakup. You feel what I'm saying? Yo, we're not gonna work. You're here, I'm here. You do this, I'm do this. Our lifestyles don't work, whatever the case may be. We come to terms with that, and we get all of that on the table. Then the numbers get deleted, the threads get deleted, blocked on social media if need be. But that's the end of it. The rejection is processed. You feel what I'm saying? There's not it's not you, it's me. That is the biggest mind fuck ever. You feel me? I don't think anybody is. Some people say it, but I really don't think people mean it when they say it's not you, it's me. Nah, it's definitely you. Cause you know what I'm saying? I gotta be me, but it's definitely you, and we don't coincide anymore. You feel what I'm saying? So I can say, yeah, it's not you, it's me. It's my shit. It's shit I got to deal with. You feel what I'm saying? Why? Because that is a soft way to say no to somebody. You feel me? I don't want to be with you anymore, but it's not your fault. It's my fault why I don't want to be with you anymore. You feel me? You see how, like, that's what it means is that it's not you, it's me. It's my fault that I don't want to be with you anymore. But I just can't tell you that I don't want to be with you anymore. So I'm gonna sugarcoat it and I'm gonna say it a certain way so that it feels good to you. It's not you, it's me. It's nothing that you did. You did nothing wrong. It's like nah. It's like, you know, that's the rejection. That's the processing of rejection. You feel what I'm saying? If we enter relationships this way, if we carry the ability to say no and different things like that, we could really be more liberated than we are. You feel me? You know how many people are stuck in situations because they don't want to say no? Relationships have ended. You in a 4-year relationship that ended 2 months in. But you ain't want to tell that motherfucker, oh, it could get better. No. I was in a relationship, the first heartbreak that I took, I was in a relationship for almost like 2.5 years. The relationship was over 6 months in. Feel me? Our first breakup occurred 6 months in. And she calls me back crying, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm like, and I fell for it. I was like, damn, I don't want her to stay like this. I don't want her to stay in this space. But it's like, yo, the last conversation that we had, the closure was there. I said, look, I've given you all that I can and you want more. I can't give that to you anymore. You feel me? I was working. It was in undergrad. So I was working, you know, it was a summertime too. I was working full time, but I was in like a summer session and I was doing some of that. And she's like, I feel like you don't have enough time for me. Okay, well, all right. Well, I can't give you anymore. So we got to figure, all right, well, this bye-bye forever. And it's like calling me back and everything, you know, we get back together. That point right there, when we first broke up, it shouldn't have happened. We shouldn't have got back together. That was the end. So because of the rejection, it kind of drug out to the point where it ended how it had to end, and it ended bad. You feel what I'm saying? So it's like, when it ends bad, that's when the fucked up shit happens. Because now that's when rejection is on the whole. Like, why did you have to do this to me? You feel me? But the relationship be done a long time ago. But we don't want that person to feel rejected. We don't want to feel rejected ourselves. You feel me? So it's like when we had a conversation, like, yo, there's no growth here. We're not going, oh, you just need more time. No, sometimes you don't need more time. A huge part of patience, like when people be like, yo, you just got to be patient with this person. No, a huge part of patience is gauging when time has expired. Feel me? Patience is not waiting. You feel me? Patience is being in a situation and being able to gauge when time has been initiated and when time has been expired and getting out of that shit. You feel what I'm saying? But when we don't want to reject the motherfucker, we don't want people to feel rejected. We're not gonna go through that. Same with us. We will literally stay and wait and tolerate all of the bullshit with the hopes that it'll get better. No, it won't. It won't. It won't. You feel me? But learn how to say no. If it's not serving you anymore, if there's no benefit for you, I'm out. You feel me? Don't feel guilty in that shit. Don't feel slighted. Why all of the shit that I invested in this motherfucker. Look, as a day trader, if you see the trade going the other way, get the fuck out. Don't be like, oh, it'll turn around eventually. All right, and eventually you done lost all your money as you're waiting for it to come back the other way. Don't deplete yourself with the hopes of a potential that could possibly, like, fuck it, yo, we got to come to terms with it. And, you know, of course, you got to deal with the consequences. Like I said, had a shorty that was, you know, she made Instagram pages. I told her the truth, but like, she was tight. I was like, damn. But by that same mentality, I couldn't have stayed with that person. You feel me? You don't know how to handle rejection properly. You feel me? And that's a lot of us. That's us, as you know, because nobody wants to hear it. We need to take that time, learn how to hear no, learn how to say no, mean it, stand on the shit, and learn how to process it. You know, rejection isn't always bad. Sometimes it's redirection. Sometimes it'll save your motherfucking life. But that's, you know, that's that, yo. But I'm gonna end on that, man, because at this point I'll be rambling. But yeah, I appreciate everybody's time. You know, I appreciate the suggestions and everything. As always, be sure to Follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Be sure to follow the Just Seen Podcast at the Just Seen Podcast. Be sure to follow and get your merchandise at Just Seen's Merch. All of this is on Instagram, by the way. Follow the Hitting the Raw program at the Hitting the Raw program if you're trying to transition into the plant-based lifestyle. Be sure to get the ebook Hitting the Raw, Living the Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. And also be sure to get So Frail, a Reality to Black Male Masculinity, and So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity, available where all books are sold online. And everything is also in the description of your podcast. And lastly, I do take support for the podcast. If you feel you should donate, if you feel you want to donate, be sure to click the links in the description. And also, if you want to say no, say no. I'm cool with it. I ain't tripping. Y'all have a good one, man. I love y'all. Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom.